We're now going to look at part 2 of the site analysis series, which is evaluating your site analysis. So you've collected all of this information and taken a whole load of photos. You get back to your desk, and now's the time to start evaluating all the information that you've collected and start to consider the implications that this is going to have on your design process. What I'm going to do is I've split it down into 2 different categories. I've got the site, and then we're going to look at the building. So you can start looking at the elements of the site and then start putting the pieces of the puzzle together in order to come up with a really good design. So I'm going to shoot these words at you, and then you can just start to go through them one by one and see what you think. So first of all, you want to start looking at things like your street patterns. How's this going to affect your design and how you plan to go about designing your building? Think about the scale of the building, the scale on the site, how will it affect other buildings? The land use, what else goes on around that site and how will it affect your building? The neighbourhood, start looking at perspectives and views within the site, around the site, to and from the site and things like that. And really start to analyse the surfaces and materials that are sort of within the surrounding area. Start thinking about those sort of things. Is it a particularly natural area, or is it more man-made, industrial? And what is the movement like around the site? Circulation, there are a lot of open spaces and things like that. Is it a sort of vehicle-heavy area or more pedestrian-orientated? Also, you want to have a look at access, which goes hand in hand with sort of pedestrian routes and things like that, and movement through the site. Think about public spaces and private spaces. What's already there and how will that inform your design? And the history of the site is equally important. Start looking back and seeing what the site used to be and how that will affect how you design things. And of course, then you look at the climate and sun angles and shade and things like that all around the site. So you've thought a lot about the site now. So as you start to think about the design of your building, you can start to address elements such as the massing of your building and the structure. Is it going to be a heavy structure or light, and how will this reflect what you've learned from the site? Thinking about circulation within your building in comparison to the circulation of the site. Looking at the access and symmetry, scale and proportion. Thinking about things like balance, how the light is going to affect your site and your building, so you know what the shade and the climate is like, so how are you going to design your building according to the site's dictations? How is your design going to reflect the views that are existing in the site, and how are you going to get the most out of that? And just sort of each stage of your design, you can revisit all of these words and all of these ideas so that you keep on coming back and readdressing and don't lose sight of not only the brief but the site itself, and marrying the 2 of those together successfully. So that pretty much wraps up part 2, which is evaluating your site analysis, where we've looked at the connection between the site and the building and how these observations will inform your design. In part 3, we're going to have a little look at how to present your site analysis, so make sure you check it out. You'll be able to find it either on the YouTube channel or on the website, firstinarchitecture.co.uk.